Well, hello. It is now coming up to the end of January. The year has started. We're off and running. I'm wondering how your new year is going. If it's anything like mine, it's a mixed bag. I made a message, I wrote a blog and a video last year near the end of the year where I think I said like the key to my success, like the number one thing that is so important that after I wrote that, and this is in my blog today, I actually took my own advice and started really creating not from things that I didn't have, but from things I had, like a really good coach who helps me out. I have a lot of support. I have a lot of things, right? And it occurred to me that I've really learned another lesson over the last few years. Maybe it's key number 2, if you'd like it to be. It's so super important. And this was one that did not come naturally to me. I would say the opposite. It was really, really hard for me to get it. But when I got it, everything changed for me. The success started coming much more consistently in my business, and I felt much more ease and joy in myself, just in whatever I was doing. Here it is. It's not very hard. It's just kind of a corny saying that goes yard by yard, life is hard. Inch by inch, life is a cinch. Corny, but true. Step by step was what I learned. I used to want, I would kind of, chasing those shiny objects. I'd want to do things all at once. And sometimes I would try to, and I would succeed. Sometimes I've actually get a lot done, but it was unsustainable. I ended up overwhelmed, exhausted, things just crumbled. So it'd be like, that would be the cycle, do too much, or the opposite of that. I would just get stuck. What do? I don't know. There's so many things I need to do and I have to do them all and they have to be done right now. Any of you have that going on in your head at times? Oh my gosh, I've got to get it done. It's got to get done this week. It's got to get done today. So if that's you, just stop right now and just take a breath and sit back and think about this. One teeny tiny step at a time. I'm reminded, I did a workshop once where I asked people on the workshop, so what's the next step you're going to take? I always do that with my workshops. Like, let's get into action. And somebody said, my next step is building a new website. Building a new website isn't a step, it's a project. So that's another key. Like many things are projects. And that means they take a lot of steps. It's good to have it defined, something like a website or starting a podcast, or, you want to have a program or packages for your coaching business. Great. Put it out there as a project. And then see what would be the steps. And I have this in my blog, like just brainstorm. What would be all of the steps that you could imagine you would take, and then start taking them. Sometimes the right order appears intuitively, makes sense. Sometimes you'll take a step out of order and you'll get there and you go, oh, no, I needed a few things before this. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. No one's grading you on taking, like, did you do it exactly right? The next right step is just what feels right to you. Make it an easy step, or a one that's vulnerable. Like, I'm not going to say hard, but more like, ooh, that's a gulp. That's a step that's going to take some courage. Do one of those steps, but make sure that it's teeny tiny. Like I was communicating with some people this week and it was vulnerable. I was doing an ask that's still vulnerable for me, asking people for help. And what I did was I first thought about who I wanted to ask. Then I wrote the email, and there were a couple of people. So I wrote 2 or 3 emails, and then I just let them sit in my inbox. And then I had this really good feeling. I'm like, oh, it feels like it's time to send that one. And I sent that one. And then I thought about, took a shower, had some sessions, whatever. And I thought, I think I'll send the other one now. And then by the end of the day, I'd sent them all. So that kind of teeny tiny step, give yourself permission to do just the one piece of it, especially if it is vulnerable. Just take a little teeny tiny step, but keep going. That's the real key of the key, is that you have to just keep taking those teeny tiny steps. right? That's where the life is a cinch piece. You'll get there. You'll get where you want to go. And it'll happen with you present, with joy, with ease, all those things we really, really want our life to be. Okay, have fun with your teeny tiny steps. And I'm happy to support you. Let me know what kind of support you need to succeed in your coaching business.